Welcome, guys. Welcome to the session on choosing the right MBA college. This session is basically for those who are planning to do an MBA but are confused on what kind of colleges to choose, right? So, we will just start the entire session in a minute's time. Let's wait for a minute more for people to join as we had some technical glitch and I do not want that glitch to continue. That we have sorted out, let's wait for a minute or so for people to join and then take this up. Meanwhile, for all those who are listening, whenever you are in doubt, whatever doubts you have, please use the chat box to put down your questions, which we will try to answer by the end of the session. The entire Q&A will be taken care by the end of the session. Meanwhile, let's wait for some of them to join us. The reason why we bought this particular program today was when we realized while talking to a lot of students that the confusion still arises of what kind of a college should I choose now that many exams are over and people are basically searching or deciding a particular kind of a college. The entire session was to ensure that all of us understand what are the most important priority that we have to look out for while we are choosing a college. So the agenda, so let's start now. The agenda that we will be dealing with is predominantly divided into three portions. The first portion will talk about what are the parameters to consider while choosing the right college. The second portion that is very, very important are certain myths that we would like to avoid while we are looking out for a particular college for our post graduation, especially for an MBA program. Note that this is specifically designed for a student who wants to do an MBA program. And then we would also like to give you a uniqueness about the program, MBA program that we have started at Nagarjuna College of Management Studies, Bangalore. So before getting into that, let's look into what are the current situation. When we look into the current situation, there are every student, right? Even if I consider myself to be a student, every student has too many options to select with. The options are basically starts from specializations, right? What specialization to pick? There are companies or there are institutes which offer you specializations which are very, very unique in nature, right? Gone were the days, there were days when the colleges used to offer specializations in predominantly areas like marketing, operations, finance, HR, and then there were colleges which included IT because of technology. And then we saw a series of specializations coming into. There were people who wanted exclusively, let's say, retail management, right? People who really wanted to do an MBA in event management. Then we had MBAs in brands. Then we ended up having MBAs in design and in fashion management. So sports management. So you saw a series of specific specializations coming into picture. So there are too many specializations currently in the market that confuses a student. And about that, there are colleges which offer dual specializations. So you don't do specialization of only marketing, you do marketing and finance. You may do finance and HR. So there are dual specializations. Then there are colleges which says that we will provide you specializations which are across borders. right? You do certain specialization in India, and then you get into one of the international universities and then do an international exposure program. So there are programs which crosses borders, right? So there were a lot of things. Then these are small options on specializations. Then you come into degrees. You will hear many people telling, right, do an MBA. Then there'll be someone who says, hey, PGDM is good. Then there's someone who says, why don't you do a PGP program? And then we have executive correspondence, part-time. Oh God, you name it and you have it. So there are so many degrees out there. And then finally, you get the biggest confusions driven when there are so many people suggesting what to do, right? Starting from your family, then your relatives, and then you go and discuss with your friends. And sometimes you meet your seniors and they say, hey, what are you going to do? And then you suddenly say that I'm planning to do an MBA, and then they give their suggestion. Similarly, you talk to your teachers, you talk to your faculty members, and then they say you should do an MBA from this college because of this, you should do this. And then when you start searching through websites, and websites give you loads and loads of option of where you are. So the current situation, guys, is actually so very confusing for all of us. Okay, but let's understand, where do we go? What is the first thing that a student, right, likes to see? What are the biggest search criteria that happens in Google today when people are looking into an MBA? The most important search criteria people do is placements. Okay, if I want to do an MBA, the first thing I search for is which college gives me a placement, right? Now, before we get into that, there are certain questions which you should answer, and probably answer all by yourself. Ask yourself, or ask the Google, or ask the college, right? What are the questions? Three relevant questions. Can someone name a college which can provide 100% placement? Can someone name a college which can guarantee you a job, saying that, hey, look, you are looking into a job of this particular industry and you want a job which is of this profile, I will guarantee you that job. Any college doing that? Or any college saying that we will also provide you internship, where internship is relevant to, right, what you want to do, rather than what companies come to our college. No. And the answer for this question is a big no. There is no college, including the IMs, which can guarantee you 100% placements. In fact, every college, if you go and see, they will only say one thing: we will give you 100% placement assistantship. What does that mean? It means that we will help you in placements. We will not guarantee you for placements. Why so? Why are people reluctant or unable to guarantee you placement? For a very simple reason, is that I can take you till the interview room, but what you speak inside the room, what you give as an interview, is completely dependent on you. It is not dependent on college. It is not dependent on the company. It is not dependent on the faculty or the placement officer. It is completely dependent on you. So whether you do good in an interview or not, right? Only based on that you get a job. So how can a college provide you a 100% guarantee on the placement? So no college can. They will train you. They will keep you ready for it. So the problem is that most of the students today, when they want to do an MBA, they search for placements, but they don't understand that placements is not an external factor. It is an integral driven opportunity of a student. It is you who can drive this entire placement and get the job that you really want. Okay. So let's understand that what makes an ideal choice. So what kind of a college should I choose, right? When I'm looking for a particular college, what is the kind of a college that I should choose? So there are certain categories that you should always prioritize. There are certain categories which, even if you get, it's okay. If you don't get, it's still not a loss. And there are certain categories where you should never keep your high concentration or importance. So let's understand this. The must have. There are a few things that you should always find out for, look into when you're choosing your college. Your journey of learning. How are you going to learn? Is the learning based on bookish method? Are the teachers or the faculties or the college interested in covering syllabus? Or is your learning more relevant with what industry wants? Because if you see in the most of the curriculums today, they are all curriculums that were 20 years, 15 years, 10 years ago designed. But unfortunately, if you look at the market today the market is evolving every day. There are new startups coming, new companies coming which require new talent with a new skill set. Is the college or am I able to learn those skill sets relevant to industry requirement in such a way that by end of 2 years of my journey the learning doesn't become obsolete, right? It is not that okay, I learned something and by the time I go to market and the market doesn't require that learning. No. So my learning is continuous for 2 years, right? It is relevant to the industry and I'm able to contribute to the job that I'm going to do. So how is my learning journey? That's a must have. How well is the industry exposure of this particular college? Right? Most of the colleges will say, hey, I have hundreds of company comings to campus. How does it matter? It doesn't matter what company is coming. What matters is what kind of a profile am I going to get? What kind of a learning am I going to get in that 2 years that I'm spending in the college? Because company comes only in the end of that 2 years. That's not important. What is important is what am I going to learn in that 2 years? How much will I be exposed to an industry? Right? You guys are graduates. You would have done this industry tours and projects in your during your graduation. You would have realized what kind of projects was this, right? You go in the morning, you go to a company, you go to a factory or a software company or any kind of a company, you tour that company and come back. What have you learned? You just have, by the end of the day, you would remember the time you spent in the journey rather than anything else about that industry. Why? Because the exposure to that industry was so limited. So the industry exposure is very important. You got to learn almost on a weekly basis from an industry, right? What kind of skill sets is required to them. The faculty, the brand name, the college that you join should have a name, right? I'm not saying that the name should be IIMs. Obviously, not everyone can match that. But even if there are names, they should be recognized at least in that metro city that it belongs to, or at least in the closest metro city that the college belongs to, right? So, for example, if I have a college which belongs in Maharashtra, right, but not in Mumbai, people in Mumbai or corporates in Mumbai should have heard about that college name, right? Similarly, if I have a college that belongs in Karnataka, not necessarily in the Bangalore urban region, it can be Bangalore rural also. People in Bangalore urban, companies in Bangalore urban should be able to recognize that brand name. So that name is important because that is the brand that you're going to carry from now onwards. The faculty profiles becomes one of those most important aspect because that's the exposure that you're going to get during your journey, right? Now, the external faculty profile. Why is visiting faculty so very important in an MBA course? A visiting faculty is important because of the fact that it is the visiting faculty who will bring the knowledge of the industry to the campus. And that knowledge, the visiting faculties connect network is one of the most important aspect while choosing a college. The internship programs, the placement support, what are the trainings that is given, right? Are the trainings, as we spoke earlier, are the trainings relevant to what is needed? Am I being job ready? Right? I know that after 2 years I will get a job. That's for sure. I'll get a job because not because I've done my MBA, but because I am capable enough to get a job. But is the job relevant with what I really want to do? Am I ready for a career shift from, there's a career shift happening directly from a graduation to a post graduation. That is a career shift happening. right? So am I ready for that kind of a career shift? And am I ready for, am I getting that kind of a training? And most importantly, how many of the things that happens within that 2 years of course is driven by students? Why? Because the more I try things as a student, the more I start learning. And that's very important. We say, right, during our graduation, during our school days, every time we say, unless and until you do it all by yourself, you will never learn. It is like saying this: can I teach you swimming through a classroom program? No, I cannot. Nobody can teach you swimming through a classroom program. You got to get into the water to learn swimming. So similarly, if you want to have a leadership quality, if you want to get into the best option or best career in future, you got to do all things by yourself, right? So that's a student driven activity. So these are the things that must be there when I'm doing an MBA or wherever I'm doing an MBA. Now let's look into things that is good to have. I don't mind having this, but but it's not very important. Why I am saying this? Let's understand. Degree, good to have. Whether it is an MBA, whether it is a PGDM, it really does not matter. When does it matter? It matters when if I am a student who is looking into doing a government job after my MBA, right? I want to get into government sector. So if you want to get into government sector, then you should have an MBA as a degree. But if you are looking for a private job, then MBA or PGDM, it doesn't matter. No company specifies what kind of a degree you should hold, right? They only specify that you should be postgraduate in management, which is nothing but an MBA also. So a degree really does not matter much in that sense, okay? It is important, but not the priority. Fees. Today, every bank is kept their doors open for giving you an educational loan. An educational loan is a must or a good to have stuff for you. Why? Because it helps you manage money in a very, very better way. Number one. Number two, it helps you reduce your taxable amount, right? Because educational fees, educational loans, you have a rebate in the tax slab. So you avoid the burden on your parents, right? So that's a fees is the not that criteria, but doesn't mean that I spend lakhs and lakhs together, go to 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 13 lakhs, right? And spend unless and until the college is like an IM. I don't mind spending so much amount for an IM because of the brand and the kind of career that I will start with. But when I'm looking into any other college, fees matters, right? But shouldn't be the decision point. The curriculum. Most of the MBA colleges teach you almost 80% of the things as the same case. Okay? 80% to 90% of your learning is same. Your add-on certifications are also there. There are a lot of colleges which says, I will give you so many certifications. How does it matter? Because if I do not want, let's say I'm a student, who's going to do who wants to specialize in marketing, or I'm a student who wants to specialize in HR. What is the point in you giving me certifications on finance, certifications on operations, certifications on data analysts if I want to get into an HR? Not much of a use for me. So add-on certifications is good, but it will be better if it is relevant to what I want, right? And the purpose is solved on what I'm getting as a certification. What I wouldn't mind but really shouldn't matter to me is an infrastructure. Oh, how big the campus is. What are you going to do with the campus? You're not going to retire in that campus. You're spending only 2 years, and that 2 years, trust me, an MBA program shouldn't be spent on knowing what the campus is. The MBA program is spent basically on learning, on your learning journey. How big the building is, how big the campus is, nothing matters there. Okay, does the campus have, oh, the campus doesn't have a foot court, oh, they do not have a cricket ground. How does it matter? 2 years, if you start playing cricket, you rather not do an MBA then, right? So infrastructure doesn't matter. Location, as I said, if the brand is recognized mainly in the metro cities, then location doesn't matter. Wherever the campus is, as long as they have an hostel facility, I'm good to go, right? How many students in the class? Again, an irrelevant information that you should have. Okay, as long as it doesn't matter how many students are there in the campus or in my batch, as long as I should know how many students are there in my class. If the class has a significant number of students, which we ideally say as 60, right? Then it's a fair enough. Anything less than 60 is great. Anything more than 60 is not acceptable, right? So, but these are the points that you should never consider while choosing an MBA. Clear? Right. Now, what are the biggest key for getting a good college? So, how should I decide which college? So, the first thing you should do always is you should research. If I am a student who really wants to get into college, then I should research for it. Okay. I have to prioritize. So, remember what we spoke about uh, points that you should have, you must have, right? These are the points that we said we must have. Then we came into points which we said good to have. So when I'm doing a research, right, on finding a good college, I should look at which is my priority in the must have. Is my priority on brand name, on let's say faculty profiles, on let's say internship programs, right? Then I have to search my college according to that. So I have to do a lot of research while I'm choosing a college. Okay, do a research. It doesn't take much of a time, but it's a very good exercise to do. Then the next I should do is connect with alumni, right? If you do not have an alumni, for example, you get into a college which is very new in nature, it doesn't matter, right? New college is also very good to go. So if it's a new college, then you will not get an alumni. But you may get an alumni of that particular brand in case the brand has multiple outlets, multiple campuses, right? Then talk to the alumni to see how the corporates recognize that brand. Talk to current batch or talk to people within the campus. Go and talk to them. Find out what kind of college is this, how is the rules of this college, because you do not want to be driven by rules in an MBA college, because that limits your entire creativity. What if you are a designer? Just imagine that you are a creative guy, you want to do marketing, but I tell you that look, this is your product and you have to sell it this way. Then what is the point of you being a creative, right? You are rather being a labor. So there is no way that. So you got to go to a college and see how the college is, talk to people, figure out is the college fitting to your culture, right? Culture doesn't mean that, oh, I'm from this background. No, that's not culture. Culture is what is my mind making, what is my thought process, right? Is the college also giving me the option of aligning my thought process? That's very important, right? And then interact with faculty members. You have faculty. Why do you have faculties? They are not there only to give you marks. They are there to give you mentoring. They are there to guide you. Talk to them, ask them straightforward questions. For example, when I was choosing a college, right, while I was doing an MBA, I connected with the faculty and asked, hey, look, what else can I learn apart from what you teach? And how can I contribute to, to the campus or to your college in the next 2 years? Right, and that's how we started interacting with faculties. The benefit of that is when you interact with faculties, they will get to know you and you will get to know them. That's where the bonding happens. Okay, so what are the major learning curve that you should look into when you're doing an MBA? Right, now we spoke about what kind of college you should choose. Now let's look into what kind of a major learning you should do when you're doing an MBA, right? The most important part is I'm going to spend a bit time here, right? Because this is the most important aspect. The first thing that you should do is look into that the 2 years that you're going to spend, what kind of skills are you able to build? Okay. What kind of skills are you able to build? So figure out. So how do I figure out that? First, list down the areas that you want to improve when you're doing an MBA. So before that, you also have to list down the purpose of you doing an MBA. Now, please don't keep the purpose. Most of the students that I interact, their purpose of doing an MBA is to get a good job. That shouldn't be the purpose of doing an MBA, guys. Okay? You will get. Do you mean to say that you're not capable to get a good job? I do not agree with it. I think each one of you, right, have that special ability to contribute something significantly and something great to a company. It's just a matter of time. So you shouldn't look out for good jobs. What you should look out for is, okay, what is my biggest weakness that I want to improve, or what is it that I want to improve during an MBA? List down them, right? It may be, for example, it may be a good decision making skill. It may be a good, team building skill. It may be a good leadership quality. It may be good research driven work. So you got to identify what is a good skill that you really want to improve. Okay. And that is the skill that you have to concentrate more on in the next 2 years of journey. Not saying that you shouldn't do anything else. Obviously, the rest, everything else are also important. But these skills, which is your personal gain, is something that you will do more often to improve. Right. Second, look at a program where the next 2 years you are driving most of the activities. So for example, let me give you a background here. So when I was doing an MBA, our college clearly stated this, right? You are going to drive the entire placement scenario. So they made a group of people whose job was to connect with industry, talk to them regarding what the current batch is, how students are, what kind of jobs they are looking into, and why should the company come and recruit from us. Now, why was this done by students and why was this not done by someone else? Because imagine you being in a class of 60 students. In the next 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, who is a person who will know you and your friends better? The student within your classroom or someone outsider? So, right. So you will all answer, believe you will all agree with me that the student within the classroom will know the rest of them better. They will know, okay, so I will know, okay, Ankit is good in this, but his weakness is here. He has an aspiration of getting into this industry, right? Or I'll say, okay, Radha is good here. So I will know who is good and who is not good, right? Similarly, you will know who among your classmates has what kind of aspirations. So you will be able to go to a relevant industry or a relevant company and talk about the kind of batch you have, right? And say, okay, this is my batch, these are the kind of students I have, this is their potential, they will be able to perform these kinds of tasks and achieve these kinds of milestones. So you are the person who will be able to talk about your own classmates and about yourself too. So everything was student driven. So when I was doing an MBA, this was a student driven activity. Placement was exactly student driven, right? So it's not just placements, there were many other things. So you got to see while you're doing an MBA is how many of these are student driven. As students, I get to drive it. Why? Because one is I get to learn a lot. Second, I get to design what I really want the journey to be, right? Third, I will develop a lot of skills within this. I will develop team building skills, I will develop communication skills, I will develop leadership skills, I'll develop a lot more skills out there. Then I will also look out a program which involves a lot of case studies. Because every program which is completely bookish, right? If I study from material, what is the fun of doing an MBA? I could rather sit at home and order books and study from it and just go and write an exam. I will still have a good marks. That is not the reason why I should do an MBA. I should do an MBA because I should be able to do a lot of research work. I should be able to do a lot of case studies, right? How well the program is integrated with the industry. Are they teaching me something that is, gone and done and dusted? 10 years ago's requirement? Are they teaching me something today? Or are they going to also teach me what the industry requires? So today, for example, we are talking about startups. What is the first thing that people should know about startups? They should know about how to, not only incorporate a company, but they should also know how to pitch their ideas, where to pitch their ideas, how to create valuation, what are the, you know, uh, what are the basically laws and compliances that you have to follow when you are in a startup. So these are the industry integrated programs. These are industry requirements. So your courses should be as relevant as the industry requirement. And by the end of the 2 years, I should be able to generate certain leadership attributes. Why? Because MBA is management of business administration. So what you're expecting me to? You're expecting me to manage a business. If I do not have leadership qualities, how will I manage a business? How will I manage a team? Right? So these are the areas that you should always look out for when you're learning. Okay? Remember, most of us concentrate on the output without concentrating on the input. The output will never happen if we do not know what exactly the input is and how the journey is going to be. So when we are putting our effort, we put our effort at the beginning because the end will automatically follow. But if your effort is only on the end, your journey itself will not get you there. Okay, so always remember this. This is not only for learning, but this is also in terms of your career, in terms of your business, everything. Okay, so if your output is like, hey, I want to be a billionaire around 10 years, that's a very good output. But what is the input there? Nothing. I can't sit on that for 10 years, right? I will never be a billionaire. I should start doing today to be a billionaire after 10 years. So that's the input requirement, right? So these are the things that you should always consider while doing an MBA. Now I'll give you a glimpse of what Nagarjuna Management Studies is and what are we doing exactly, right? And I want you to stay around so that you understand why we designed this, whatever we designed. Okay, so we have the general stuff. What are the general stuffs? General stuffs is something that exists everywhere, right? And in some places it doesn't exist, but we don't take a pride because I believe these are some things that should be there as a basic amenities, right? When you buy a house, what is the basic amenity? You expect that the house has been constructed well, it has been painted, you have all the electric connections given. So these are basic amenities. What if I start selling you that, hey, look, there is a house, it has four walls, right? It has complete electrical connections given, right, with switchboards and amps, with it has proper water connections provided. That is, these are basic amenities that you want. These are not things that you should have. I mean, you feel wow for. These are basic amenities. So what are them? One is university driven curriculum. Okay, so we do not offer a PGDM program, we offer an MBA for dual purpose. One is it also helps people who want to get into a government job. So we, keeping that in mind, we offer an MBA program. It's completely AICTE driven, which is the biggest you know accreditation or biggest authority to approve. So AICTE driven MBA program. We give specializations. We do not give dual specializations. We give single specializations, right, on the relevance required for the industry. Obviously, it is. We also drive this entire specializations with certifications, which is industry relevant, where the student chooses what certification they want. We don't push for that. We give industry relevant trainings and we make students play a lot of business games. Okay, now imagine I give you a company to run, but I cannot give you a real company to run because then the profit and loss statement probably will go in negative cash flow. So I may not give you a real industry to run, but I may give you a simulated or a virtual industry, business industry to run as a CEO and see what kind of decisions you make. So we provide a lot of business games because that's where leadership quality comes, right? Now, research and driven, as I said, is important. So we have modern library with updated books and journals. Our programs is affordable, right? So the maximum it will cost you is a 3.5 lakhs, right? For a 2 year program, in case you are coming from a management side of the enrollment. But if you are a person who has written a PGCET, which is the Karnataka entrance examinations called as PGCET exam, then your fees is ranges between 2.5 lakhs depending on how you're coming. Anyway, so why I said good ROI? Because for me, As I said, my journey is important, right? So my journey will define the outcome, and I'm very sure that the journey that we provide will surely bring an outcome of at least a 5 lakhs to a 5.5 lakhs package for a student. So just imagine you spending 2 or 3.5 lakhs and getting a 5.5 lakhs package. That's a very good return on your investment. It is obviously a huge campus with hostel, with everything, and finally it has a scenic beauty because it is very closest to the Bangalore's biggest getaway place, which is Nandi Hills, right? Now, apart from that, now what's the speciality, which probably you can look into or you should imagine looking into? One is a hybrid delivery. So we provide classes which are both online and offline to ensure that people are able to cover maximum information and learning in these 2 years. We are trying to develop new habit because as you know that work from home is the new habit today. We are trying to develop a new habit where people are not only experienced with campus learning, but they are also experienced in online learning. We try to build a leadership journey out here. Okay, a 2 year experience, and this is the most important part. We don't see a 2 year MBA program as an MBA program. We in fact see 2 year MBA program as a 2 year experience because we want to cover that opportunity cost. Imagine you were not doing an MBA but working somewhere, you'd have gained 2 years of experience, right? How can I ensure, how can I replace that experience that you gain? Because nothing can be replaced with an experience. Okay, experience is the ultimate learning that a person can get. So how can I replace that? Our entire curriculum is designed in such a way that we replace or we give you that 2 years experience. We make you network with industry experts so that you can showcase your potential, because only when people see you, people recognize you, people will talk about you. Okay, otherwise you're a lost entity. Ours completely student driven activities, right? I believe what my experience, what XLRI gave me as an experience, one of the wonderful colleges of the country, what it gave me as an experience was much more beyond that what I learned in the books from that particular place, right? So branding and marketing yourself, going and talking to industry people, right? Showcasing your capability by working, doing projects, doing internships, by challenging your peers, by doing activities, by inviting your classmates to challenges, by inviting your neighboring schools and colleges to participate in the challenges that you created, right? You challenge your own peers to show them that there is a learning for them as well as a learning for you. You drive the entire program and the outcome. So you decide how the program is going to drive. Now, the placement journey that people are, right? So we have designed a few new placement journey. Most of the colleges offer placements as internship and final placements, which is internship usually happens between the first year and second year, that is second semester and third semester if you are a fourth semester college. And the placement happens between a third semester and all the way till fourth semester end. But what we have also brought is we have brought a shadow program which happens from first semester to second semester, which is also an internship, but a smaller internship. Okay, so that there is a learning, continuous learning with industry for every student. So this is the journey that people have or people can do when they are exactly uh, preparing for an MBA program or doing an MBA program from Nagarjuna. So finally, what I would like to tell you is you got to make the right choice to get the right direction. Okay, you cannot just go with words, you cannot just go with advertisements. Just because you see advertisements saying that okay, this college offers, doesn't mean that I should take an admission. But I'm not saying that you should neglect it. What you should ideally do is you should go do a bit more research on the college, right? Go, if required, visit the campus. If not personally, if you cannot go personally and visit the campus, then do a virtual visit, right? Do an online meeting with the person involved, do a virtual visit, understand what the college is, understand what the journey is, because only once you understand the journey, you will be able to visualize how your career is going to be. Okay, don't just go, hey, I'm looking, sir, is your college, I have seen so many of my own friends who wanted to do an MBA, and they used to go to a college and say, sir, Does your college give what is the highest placement that your college would have given? And the college says our highest package is 21 lakhs per annum. They are very happy. My friends were very happy. They came back saying that, hey, look, this college, I'm going joining this college. Why? This college is giving 21 lakhs package pay placement. Which college gives, man? I'm going and joining. And they joined. And what happened when they joined and came out? They were still searching for a job. So what was that 21 lakhs package? It was a job given to one student once upon a time, right? So how did you know? How did you not know? You did not know because you never went and spoke. So guys, whenever you're dealing with a college, whenever you're dealing with an admission, take a small effort. It may burn certain calories of your body and it may burn certain fat from your body, but that's okay. It's good. You can reduce some weight, but please go to that college. Talk to people, talk to the faculty members, right? When you talk to them, that's when you will get the idea of how many of them are really, I mean, you will have that inner feeling from yourself, right? Whether this guy is telling the truth or whether he's lying, or whether this is something that is possible or not possible. You will get that inner feeling. Once you get that inner feeling, that's when you will start deciding, right? So do that research work, get in, and don't just spend time and time deciding which college, right? Once you decide a college, go and join. There is no fun in you searching. All right. Remember, every time you go and search for a college, you will always find a college better than the previous one because that's a perception, right? It is like I bought a mobile phone. Tomorrow, when I see another mobile phone, I feel, oh, I should have bought this, I bought that. That's always a perception. But remember, what you made is always a good choice. Okay. But it has to be in the right way, it has to be in the right direction. All right, guys. So I appreciate and I thank each one of you to for spending so much time with me and watching this. You can put your questions in the chat box if you have any, and we'll be more than happy to answer it. Right? So I'm just let me look at the chat box just a minute. I'm unable to see the chat, so let me look at the chat. Is there any question for anyone? Okay. In case, because I'm somewhere I'm not able to see the chat. Okay, so in this I have also given my email ID, right? Which is Anant at ncms.co.in. I've also given you my email ID. In case anyone has any doubt or any query, any specific question, right? Sometimes you do not feel like asking the question in the group. You would always want to take it separately. So if you have any question, you can write an email to this mail ID and I'll be more than happy to answer you. Okay, in case you have any question relevant to anything, but as long as it is relevant to an MBA. So if you have questions relevant to MBA, then please feel free to ask the question. I'll be more than happy to answer it, right? Because I am unable to see the chat. Right, guys? Yeah, now I'm able to see the chat, I guess. Yes. Is there anything that anyone wants to see, want to know? Please let me know. Okay, guys. So, assuming that most of you do not have any questions, I would request each one of you to ensure that you guys, if you have any doubts, uh, please ask. You can always write down. I have given you uh, the email ID. You can write down if you do not have any questions. If you have any questions, you're free to ask me right away. Otherwise, you're free to write down the questions, right? And write a mail to me. I'll be more than happy to answer those. So, thanks a lot for being part of this entire program. I hope that I was able to cover lot many things that is required and lot many things that were relevant, right? All the best in your journey. Feel free to write to me. Not necessary that you have to write about this college, about Nagarjuna, or about a college. Over a period of time, you guys will be in a journey. You want to connect, you're free to connect with me through this email ID, right? I'll be more than happy to be sharing and mentoring any one of you. Thanks a lot, guys, for being part. Have a great